do our last block of student presentations, and we'll start with George.
Hello everyone, welcome back. My name is George Dubois. I'm from Memorial University of Newfoundland, from the Department of Mathematics and Statistics. So basically, this is me. This is what I spend most of my time doing. Thinking, brainstorming, complex mathematical problems. And there is so much I like about this picture. And we can all have different thoughts about it. Yeah. It inspires me like, feel like you are tired, but I'm more inspired about the flexibility and the realization that he is going through, which implies that I'm more flexible with my thoughts when it comes to solving problems. Yep. So basically, these are the kind of works that I've been doing for my 2 years masters. The first one is the current thesis that I'm working on with Dr. Amy Halford, and I'm working on optimal control strategies for implementing both MfPH and travel restrictions in the mitigation of COVID-19. Our focus is on controlling the infection at the same time reducing the cost associated with it. And then I had the opportunity to also work on a course project that's estimating the prevalence rate of Omicron infection in Newfoundland. It was a joint project I did with one student. And then we developed a stochastic COVID-19 model which uses the Bayesian method as the particle Markov chain Monte Carlo. And then that was supervised by Professor Nathaniel Osgood from the University of Saskatchewan. I also did a course work on investigating the conditions for locally transmitted dengue infections. So we're trying to investigate the transition of dengue virus from local epidemics to microepidemics to sustained local epidemics. So we're kind of building a model that's temperature dependent and then having a two-patch model whereby an infectious person move from an area of epidemic to an area of no disease and see how the transmission process occurs. And then for my undergrad, I work on some mathematical models where I look into stability analysis of an invasive breast cancer model. So it's more of doing much of the mathematical analysis. So the stability analysis, the verification analysis, and then that's through the first point theory. That was supervised by my supervisor way back in my home country. My areas of interest. So basically from the works that I've presented, most of my works is based on mathematical modeling. And so I does most of it in the qualitative approach. So how do I use data in validation of these models? I do much of the mathematical analysis. And then in the future, I hope to work in the industry, whereby they focus on early warning systems, emergency operation management, policy and decision support. So, and I'm more fascinated by these areas because of the multidisciplinary or the interdisciplinary approach. Because most of these industry members could see are coming from diverse areas, not basically people from mathematics. And so I want to work in an area or an industry whereby we have this kind of share ideas, people from different industry background, whereby we all come together with different ideas. So that's what the picture I was showing. Brainstorming, thinking about different ideas to solving or tackle problems. So I look forward to the opportunity to share my vision, discuss potential collaborations with industry partners. Thank you.
I think I'm next. Okay, good. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Brandon. Thank you for the chance to share today. So I am from Saskatoon. My academic career has been spent at the University of Saskatchewan. My undergrad is actually a double honors in statistics and philosophy, which I know is a bit unorthodox. The short reason for that is that statistics has helped me build some very useful hard skills. Philosophy has helped me with some of the more soft skills. So it's all about reading, critical thinking, writing, reading comprehension. So I've actually found that very useful so far. For 3 years after my undergrad, I was working in the industry. I'll talk a bit more about that later. I'm still continuing to work there a little bit, and I'm currently a master's student studying statistics. So I'll start off with my work experience. I work for a company called Insightrix Research in Saskatoon, and they're a full service market research firm. So what that means is they work with a lot of survey data mostly. So most of my role was really related to the data analysis, and it's kind of similar actually to the process we heard about in our last industry employer presentation, where we sort of meet with the client. In the end, I get a data set, usually SPSS format or something like that. I analyze it and then I write a report at the end of it. There was quite a big project management component to what I did. So we had a lot of projects on the go, and I could have up to 10 to 15 that I was responsible for at any given time. And so I had to do a lot of coordination and making sure everything stayed on time and that all the resources were allocated correctly. There was a very wide range of projects. So the organizations I worked with ranged from government to small business, financial institutions, nonprofits, and many more. And I worked with individual researchers all the way up to some really great C-level executives. And then finally, there was a large client communication aspect to what I did. So I'd meet with a client at the beginning to really scope out and understand what their needs were. I'd send them updates throughout the project lifecycle. And then at the end, I would meet with them to talk about what we found, to debrief them, and hopefully get them excited about some of the next steps. So transitioning over to my master's research, we're doing a time series analysis on COVID-19 related outcomes. So this graph here is some of the data that the Canadian government reported for the Omicron wave. And the black dots on top are the reported cases. The red dots on the bottom are the reported deaths. So we want to use those black dots, the cases, to sometime in the future, we want to predict the red dots, which could be cases, hospitalizations, or ICU admissions. There are a couple interesting parts of this as a research project. The first one is, as you can see from this Omicron example, there was this spike. In this case, it was January 2021 in cases, but the corresponding deaths peak is a couple weeks later. It's about the middle of January. So we need a model that is smart enough to figure out what is the optimal distance into the future to predict. The other thing we need to pay attention to is that there's a shifting relationship between these variables. So we know, for example, with mortality rate with COVID, that's not stable over all of COVID-19. It changes based on the current variant or other factors. So we need a model that can update in real time to capture that. Some of the skills that I developed doing this are some more work with applied modeling. It's a bit more formal than my work experience. It's really a weak signal detection problem. So we have very limited data, and honestly, it's not the best quality data either, but we want to sleuth out what is the information, what is the story that we can gain from this and maximize our information. And there's a very heavy programming component. So most of my day-to-day is spent in R. I'm writing code, implementing models and variations, and testing how well those work. Just to end off on what I'm looking for going forward, I'm really being involved in data analysis so far. I'm looking for something that will probably touch that going forward. I've worked on quite a range of applied problems so far, and I'm really interested in opportunities to enter new fields if there are any. And last of all, I'd love something that has some opportunities to communicate with people, because my favorite thing is to find that story in the data, but then to talk to someone else about it and to get them excited about what we found and what we can do with it as well. So thank you so much, and I'll turn it over to whoever's next.
Yeah. Right. Bringing my script with me because otherwise I think I'll go much too long. I'll stick with the script. Okay, so first I want to thank. Perfect. Okay, first I want to thank the organizers for the opportunity to introduce myself, so I'm David Dick. I'm a postdoctoral fellow at the Center for Disease Modeling at York University. And on my slides, you're going to notice graphics. They're going to be the locations I've studied, the software tools I use, the journals I've published in, and then one for a particular series of conferences that I had the opportunity to present at a number of times that was really formational and foundational for me. So my research career began with a passion for a mathematical approach to solving problems. And the problems I was interested in quickly led me from economics to applied math, then to mathematical biology. So this set off a cycle of skill acquisition and an opportunity to consider difficult problems, and that led to the development of new skills and new abilities. So through this cycle, I began to recognize my strengths, or in economic speak, which I abandoned, the marginal advantage. I'll carry it. Okay, so I apologize. Okay, so this cycle began to allow me to recognize my strengths, or in economic speak, my marginal advantage, and it allowed me to rapidly focus on the key challenges of complex environments and reinforce this cycle. So using the skills that I developed to approach interesting problems led me to learn new skills which were then needed to approach the problems. So during my master's, my focus was on mathematical biology and statistical modeling. And this academic foundation was critical when I transferred into my PhD at Western University, where I was challenged with modeling the multiscale dynamics of HIV. The opportunity to work with biologists allowed me to focus on the data and the calibration of the models, and to develop the statistical skills and introduction to the power of mixed effects models. This also led me to a clear understanding of the cost of each data point. So when you're working with lab data or primate data or human data, you realize that you want to try and extract the maximum amount of information from each data point or each data set as possible. I also had the opportunity to be jointly supervised with a phylogeneticist, where I got the chance to help develop phylogenetic models. This really helped my understanding of HIV and viral evolution, and it also reinforced my belief in the importance of a computational approach to problem solving and a data-driven approach to problems, and how powerful that can be. I also had the opportunity to present my work at specialized international conferences, and this allows me to appreciate the actual value of mathematical modeling can have on people, on real people, on public health outcomes. So upon the emergence of the COVID-19 pandemic, which I didn't see coming like most people, I started working a postdoctoral position at the University of Toronto Dell Atlantis School of Public Health, and I was still finalizing my PhD thesis, but the opportunity to apply my mathematical modeling to the challenge of COVID-19 motivated me to take the position immediately. And so we were challenged to use mathematical models to elucidate the early days of the COVID-19 pandemic, and to develop my ability to communicate the power, and more importantly, the limitations of mathematical modeling to an interdisciplinary team. This was the catalyst of an even stronger appreciation to a computational approach to problem solving, and the technical proficiency I had developed that required combining modeling and data. And the skills developed in the computational problem solving and mixed effects models directly contributed to an understanding of COVID-19. So then I transitioned to York, where I still am. I mean, at York University Center for Disease Modeling, I continue to work across scales modeling the COVID-19 pandemic. I developed an epidemiological model of the pandemic. We also worked on in-host models of the pandemic. We informed these models with statistical methods, mixed effects modeling, and machine learning. I gathered data in real time. We developed an index of public health mitigation strategies. We expanded our epidemiological model in response to changing conditions. And with it, we produced a number of reports, government reports, for Public Health Agency of Canada, for PHO, and under contract we did these things. This work was a really good test of agility, requiring top speed responses, but you still wanted high quality results. And each challenge reinforced my skills and fueled my motivation to learn more and do more, to use mathematical modeling and the tools I've developed to impact public health directly. So to summarize, my journey reflects a constant reinforcing cycle of skill evolution, problem solving, and developing new skills required to focus on that problem. My focus is data-driven approach to disease modeling across scales. And in the future, I'm looking for future employment, and I want to continue focusing on the intersection of looking at complex problems through a mathematical lens and then using data to make a significant contribution. Thanks. And the next person is? Mark.
Hello? Yes. Hey, my name is Martin Grunnell. I see myself as a computational epidemiologist or disease ecologist. Yeah, I kind of, as a sort of summary, as I said, computational epidemiologist or ecologist with an interest and expertise in biodynamics, wider biology, and public health of infectious diseases. I started kind of as a biologist, undergraduate, did a bachelor's between University of Liverpool and Liverpool School of Tropical Medicine, and then a master's in host parasite biology. That was actually funded by a beetle, yeah, because I got a John Lennon Memorial Scholarship. So yeah, my claim to fame. During my PhD, I became more interested in the mathematical and computational modeling of infectious diseases. Then these post-PhD, I've kind of worked between universities in postdoctoral positions or as mathematical modelers within public health agencies and wildlife health agencies. So more on the employment history. So my first postdoc was at UW-Madison and the USGS National Wildlife Health Center, kind of the CDC for wildlife. And that was on agent-based modeling of plague in prairie dogs, which is a problem in Canada too. Then I did a senior mathematical modeling position at Public Health England, which later became UK Health Security Agency. I originally started on an AMR project, and then of course COVID hit. So everybody was working on COVID. Whilst I was working at COVID, I ended up doing quite a lot of developing their research, in-house research software, which I found quite a fun swing. So I was working on the internal package for doing ODE type models and making them stochastic. I was working on their fitting procedures, which led me down the sort of software development route within Python. And I was working on generating dynamic networks from micro simulation of census data for agent-based modeling. And I did agent-based modeling simulations of COVID in certain settings, which became sort of government informant reports. And then I came to Canada in 2021, doing a postdoc on COVID mitigation at mass gathering events. Some of the work from this on the World Cup is in a preprint and has just been accepted with minor revisions plus computational biology. And then January this year, I was seconded from York University to Public Health Ontario, and I've swung back to being more biology-based and relearning a lot of biology I used to know surrounding genetics. In this case, trying to bring it all together in phylogenetics and phylodynamics. There's a poster on my work on EVD68 in the foyer. That's being written up now into, hopefully will be published. Yeah, so my skills are infectious diseases, whether it be the biology, ecology, public health, phylogenetics, and phylodynamics of them. Data science, big data. So I've worked with genomes recently, census data during the pandemic for PhD, model fitting, whether that be gradient descent or MCMC type stuff within phylodynamics, which they use a lot of MCMC. Visualization within Python Seaborn, R's ggplot. I'm taking courses outside of work, actually at UAT, to sort of evening classes on machine learning to keep my skills up to date. Yeah, so a lot of simulation background, whether that be with ODEs and stochastic approximations of them, agent-based modeling, optimization of code in both Python and R, so running it in parallel, running stuff on GPUs that work on in Linux, and high performance computing in Unix-based platforms, stuff like Slurm or AWS, Amazon Web Services, and research software development. So you'll find me on GitHub, as mentioned over there, and that's all the other sort of work-based social medias you can find me on. Unit testing, debugging, writing, sort of documenting the code so others can use it and draw it, producing examples. My fields of interest are public health. Really enjoy this kind of scope of working on real world problems, less of the theoretical stuff in academia. I mean, it's nice when you get in between the two where they meet. Working for nonprofits. I'm also thinking of possibly move to data science within industry, particularly if it has medical and public health aspects. My areas of interest are machine learning and AI and general data science. Basically just using mathematics and computational simulations to find solutions to problems, or developing research tools and software in all those areas, because it's quite a nice sort of interplay. Anyway, Husba Jagrinda, it's your turn.
Okay. Hello. First, thank you for having me here. Thank you for this opportunity. It's been great. So my name is Husba Jagirdar, and I'm a MSc Epidemiology candidate at McGill. And I'd like to talk a little bit about how I got there. So I got my bachelor's degree in economics and computer science at McGill. And during that, I was involved in operations research at the Retail Innovation Lab, where I analyzed the relationship between nutritional information of the products being sold at the lab, which is a Couche-Tard, which is, I think it's called a Circle K here, and the relationship between the nutritional information and sales. And then as I was graduating, I found a research opportunity with the Institute of Health and Social Policy at McGill, where I analyzed the impact of paternity leave policies on health outcomes in OECD countries. And my supervisor was really involved in health economics. And during that, I realized that the healthcare industry really needed economists because it's a very fast-paced, innovative field, coming up with new research, policy recommendations, and products, but you need somebody to pay for it and somebody to decide whether it's feasible, which is why I decided to pursue my master's in epidemiology, where my current work involves assessing the viability and performance of fully and semi-tailored minimum interdonation intervals. So it's how long donors are asked to, are ineligible before they can come back to donate. Using operational data, survival analysis, machine learning, and simulation modeling. And given all that, I think that my area of expertise is health economic modeling, epidemiologic methods, applied machine learning and data science, and statistical programming. My technical knowledge, I do have a strong computer programming background. Right now, I mostly program in Python and R, but I've used MATLAB, Stata, Java, and C++ before. Data analysis, epidemiologic research methods. Right now, I'm really trying to focus and learn more about analytical decision modeling and statistical modeling. And I'm looking for a career in health informatics or health economics and outcomes research or health data analysis. And yeah, feel free to reach out. You can just look me up. I do have a pretty unique name. So I think I might be the only person who pops up on Google, actually. Thank you.
Hi everyone. At first, I wanted to thank you, the Fusion Institute, and the organizing of this event. I am Zahra Mohammadi, and I'm a former member of the Mathematics for Public Health. And I graduated at Western University in 2019 in applied mathematics. And over the last 3 years, I worked on several interdisciplinary projects and my role was mostly data analysis. My role was mostly data analysis and modeling and simulation. And my task, my duties was collecting the data, evaluating the data, and designing and developing the model, and at the end, interpret the result. And beside the fellowship fund that I got during my PhD, and after that, they accomplished, I'm really kind of proud of that. The effort and research effort I did during my postdoc was used to secure $500,000 grant research at the Memorial University. And this is a snapshot of my career path in academia. After my PhD in applied mathematics, I landed to the postdoc position at the University of Guelph that mostly was modeling and simulation and data analysis. We worked on several projects in the finance, in health, and after that I got 2 years fellowship fund at the Mathematics for Public Health. And again, I did the modeling and simulation, mostly in epidemiology and public health. And now I'm open for the new position. And most of the project that I did, on the left side, you can see the picture of the project. All of them was interesting to me. And I used some data analysis or statistical analysis methods, and some machine learning. I used clustering, I used gradient boosting for some of them. And I used some short forecasting. I used some maximum likelihood, and some of the project was assigned by the government of the Newfoundland about the agent-based modeling. And I heavily used R and Python for all of those projects. There is my poster outside, and I will be happy to provide more information about all of the projects that I worked. And this guy is John Won. You may don't know him. He is famous as a father of the modern AI. And he mentioned that the science and scientists, they are not trying to explain the phenomena. They are mostly using the model to describe the phenomena that's happening and learn from that and maybe predict the future. And this quote is similar the introduction of this workshop, that if you remember, Deidre mentioned about math is everywhere. And now the question is, what question does your company need to answer? I'm an applied mathematician, and I will be happy to answer your question. And this is my contact information. I will be happy to contact all of you guys and exchange information and ideas. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Christopher Van Bommel. I'm a postdoc at the University of Guelph, and I've provided my email and LinkedIn for you to connect with me. In terms of research background and skills, I've worked in several areas throughout my career, most recently working in quantum information and mathematics of health modeling, and I'll talk a bit more about that later. As well as working on areas in game theory, spectral graph theory, design theory, and data analysis. Some of my additional skills that I've developed working on these sorts of projects, communicating the results I've worked with, learning about new areas of mathematics in order to solve problems, communicating in terms of teaching, and performing data analysis. And in terms of coding, I'm experienced with Python, R, and C++. So as I mentioned, I'm currently working as a postdoc at the University of Guelph. Prior to that, I was a postdoc at the University of Manitoba. I worked as a sessional instructor at the University of Toronto Scarborough, and a sessional instructional assistant at the University of Toronto, Mississauga. For my PhD studies, this was in the Department of Combinatorics and Optimization at the University of Waterloo. I did a master's in mathematics at the University of Victoria, and my bachelor's degree was in mathematics and statistics at St. Francis Xavier University. Quick highlights on achievements and accomplishments. So I've worked towards 19 publications and 19 conference presentations, sharing my findings with the mathematical community. I was funded by the Pacific Institute for Mathematical Sciences for my postdoc at Manitoba, as well as funding from NSERC for my graduate degrees and some undergraduate student research projects. So some of the projects I wanted to specifically highlight, currently working at the University of Guelph on this flu site project. So this effort to forecast the number of influenza cases requiring hospitalization in the US to understand where efforts need to be provided. This past summer, I worked in a team with the Math to Power Industry workshop, and we were working with Synovus Energy to model sustainable fuel supply chains and understand how we can move forward to continue to develop fuel while trying to improve the conditions on the planet. And during my undergraduate degree, I was working as a data analyst for the Keeping Pace project. This was a survey of physical activity and dietary intake of Nova Scotia children and youth. So this involved working with a large complex data set and summarizing the findings. For the future, I'm looking in general to advance our understanding by applying the mathematical knowledge I've gained and the experience I've had to solve problems in new areas. I hope to continue working in mathematical modeling and data analysis. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Ken. I'm a PhD candidate in statistics from Simon Fraser University. And my email address at the link to my LinkedIn profile is listed here. So my skills and expertise are generally in statistics, and more specifically, my research focuses on time-to-event data analysis, longitudinal data analysis, Bayesian statistics, and incomplete data analysis. And on a more applied side, I have done a lot of data visualizations, including making the interactive data dashboard, like the R Shinings. And I'm an expert of the programming with R and Python. I have done quite a lot conference presentations which build up my public speaking skills. And also my research has a lot of collaborations with health science and also sports science. So I can communicate statistics to non-statistical people in a reasonable language. And here, this page is a brief review of my professional experience. So during my undergraduate study, I have done a couple of interns, and the first one is with Statistics Canada in 2018. And in 2019, I have done another one with BC Central for Excellence in HIV and AIDS. And during that semester, I also attend undergraduate student research award. And I started my master's degree in statistics in 2020. And I started to do some real statistical research and also the teaching experience. I have been a teaching assistant for different statistics courses, including the junior level and also senior level and even graduate level. And my master's project earned me the Dr. Gord Slivers Award from On the Podium. And I finished my master in 2021, and I did another intern with Public Health Agency of Canada. And then I started my PhD study in 2022. And my PhD research focused on two major areas. The first area is some novel modeling in counting process applications and also survival analysis. And another area is with the collaboration with University of Waterloo, and we do some spatial and functional data analysis using wastewater surveillance data, and including the predictions of the COVID-19 related indicators. And I also work part-time as a sports analyst for Statslets, and I do some hockey analysis using the tracking data of the competitions. And in the future, I wish I can continue to contribute to the methodology development of handling the data with complex structures. And hope those methodologies should be motivated by real-world questions, and especially from the health field. And here is a list of my publications. And I have 2 invited presentations in the academia conferences and a couple more contributed presentations. And that's it. Thank you for your attention.
Hello, good evening, good afternoon. My name is Michael Joachim. I'm currently living in London, Ontario. I was working overseas for a time, and these are my information, contact information. I got master's at Johns Hopkins. I have also bachelor of medicine. I have to look here, it's tiny here. So I got Canadian College Leadership Fellowship. I got mathematical courses, epidemiology with fields with Julian Arino and Dr. Nassan Osgood. I did also a course at Toronto here. It's very important. It's executive global diplomacy, and I encourage you to look for it. It's nice. It's in October. I think it starts in October. So my skills are in public health specialist. I worked also in community development overseas in Egypt. I work with the public health in Egypt and the Kuwait. I have these communication skills. I hope you are feeling comfortable with my presentation. I have the management skills. I worked as a manager for a long time. Technically, public health statistics and AP. I use data and Python. So professional summary is like medical epidemiologist, mainly infectious diseases. I have this experience in public health and medical experience as public health physician. And I was supervising immunization. I have a lot of experience in immunization. I mentioned the community development and engagement. So I'm new in Canada, so I'm going to just restart again. I'm hoping I can find something. I worked here. This is my previous experience was in Healthy Mother, Healthy Child with Jon Snow and USAID in Egypt. It was mainly like study. It was a survey on maternal mortality ratio. It was high, and the use of cesarean section to prevent maternal mortality. I did some work on hepatitis B in Kuwait. I worked with Public Health Agency of Canada on COVID-19 for some time, and I also worked with VIHA, Vancouver Health Island. So, like developing forms for collecting infectious disease data, and I oversaw epidemiological research and doing a like summary. Each day we worked with a public health officer in Canada, trying to collect what's new every day and sending it to the office. I have experience in capacity building, training public health teams. I was supervising public health nursing staff and public health inspectors. As I mentioned, one of the AP was hepatitis B. We studied the risk factors for acquiring a disease of contacts, among contacts of positive cases. We did like acute infectious disease outbreak surveillance and food poisoning and all these stuff, data analysis. And the COVID-19, as I mentioned. I worked with Vancouver Island Health Authority and with Public Health Agency of Canada part-time. I worked with long-term care in St. Thomas, Ontario, like a health supervisor. And mainly I was working for a long time, public health physician. That's it. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Chiwendo Emilia Madubreze. I'm a postdoc visitor in York University. Okay, for my skills and my expertise, most of my life I've been teaching mathematics in Africa. I've been teaching like 10 years before I started my postdoc in York University. So my research is more of mathematical modeling of infection diseases using differential equations. They also work more of optimal control and cost effectiveness of those disease models. Yeah, also program with MATLAB and R for my numerical analysis. Then also work with some people in statistics and some people in another area in collaboration. Apart from my research and my teaching, I have this program I do advocate for girls in a situation where we can have more girls in STEM, especially in mathematics. These are programs I do even right in Canada here. I organize them by Zoom in Nigeria and some African country. Then, apart from the skills and expertise, there are some skills I'm also undergoing, which is Python, trying to learn machine learning and data science. I try to see how I can apply that to disease modeling. So for professional experience, as I said, I've been teaching mathematics from 2011 till now, say as a graduate assistant in my school in Nigeria, rising to senior lecturer before I come for my postdoc. Then I'm here for postdoc in Canada to York University, to the lab, Modeling Infection and Immunity Lab, which is also headed by Professor Jean. So my postdoc is, I got an award by American Association of University Women to do a postdoc in Canada. I also have done a research visit to University of Heidelberg University in Germany for 3 months visit. That was the September to November 2021. Then for my PhD, I earned my PhD in my institution, which is University of Agriculture, Nigeria. My MSc, my PhD was under mathematical modeling. My MSc was more of numerical analysis in University of Benin. And University of Benin is also where I did my first degree, and which happens to be in industrial mathematics. I've done some publications with some collaboration too, and some of them I still have some students I supervised before I started my postdoc. So I've done some work on COVID, monkeypox. Well, I've done some work in meningitis and tuberculosis and pneumonia. So I've done some work, I still have some work I'm also doing with them. Then my postdoc is more of Lassa fever virus because it's one of the diseases that is affecting Africa, especially Nigeria, where the disease is endemic. So that is what I'm doing right now, to look at how environment is affecting the dynamics of the disease, because the disease always happens within a particular season in a year, which is during the dry season. Also looking at a disease which is called onchocerciasis, which is a liver blindness disease. Is one of the neglected tropical diseases we have. It's very common in Africa. So I'm also looking at temperature effects on it. So most of my research right now, most of them focus on neglected tropical diseases because it's mostly affecting Africa. So we try to see, and people don't know much about it. So we try to look at how can applying control to them will help, because most of them, there is no vaccine to them. So for my short job perspectives, I'm looking at where I can make application of machine learning, because I see most of the things in maths now is going into data analysis. So I just want to have the knowledge of that so I can be able to apply that to disease modeling. That will also lead to having a public health policy that can lead to disease control. So for my expansion of my research interest, it has to do with modeling different infection diseases and non-communicable diseases, and also learning new skills, as I've said, machine learning and data science and every other thing. So apart from this, like I said, I'm also interested in programs that can encourage women, girls in mathematics. Thank you very much. I think I happen to be the last person.